Meizu has always worn their inspiration on their sleeve, more so than ever with this year's successor to the MX4. And in the past couple of days, the affordably priced smartphone market has begun to grow. There's a lot of competition out there from big companies trying to construct a perfect smartphone that not only performs well but is reasonably priced. Well, what about a lesser-known company like Meizu? Where does their latest smartphone rank in this field? Hello everybody, this is the Meizu MX5. I'm Crystal. It's nice to meet you guys. I've been doing tech reviews for a little over 2 months now, so I'm still getting a hang of things. But if you want to know more about me, there'll be an About Me video coming out soon on this channel, so stay tuned for that. And let's get on with the review. This is the Meizu MX5, and I know we're probably all thinking of the same thing. This design looks very familiar, and yeah, it's no secret where Meizu has taken their inspirations from over the years. But this phone is definitely beautifully designed, with its metal body that curves around to meet its big 5.5-inch display. It feels nice to hold too, only being 7.6 millimeters thick and weighing 149 grams. It's actually not that slippery either, it always felt safely secure in my hand. The Meizu MX5 sports an octa-core 2.2 GHz processor, with 3 gigs of RAM, along with a PowerVR GPU. The phone comes in 16, 32, and 64 gig storage variants, with no microSD card slot. It also comes in black, gold, and silver. Inside, we have a 3150 mAh non-removable battery, and it has something called M-Charge, which is supposedly supposed to charge from 0 to 60 in 40 minutes. On the back, we can find the MX5's 20.7 megapixel camera with an f2.2 aperture lens. Alongside that is its laser autofocus and dual tone flash. On the right side, we have both the volume buttons and the power button, and they feel pretty tactile and responsive. The left side is where the SIM card tray lives, and this phone actually allows for 2 SIM cards to be activated within the phone. On the top, we have our headphone jack, and on the bottom, we have our micro USB port and the speaker. The speaker isn't the best sounding speaker, but it's definitely not horrible by any means. It's just a bit tinny, but the volume certainly makes up for this. The speaker can be very loud, almost as loud as the LG G4 speaker. On the front of the phone, if you look very closely, you can see we have an LED notification light. I tried figuring out if I could do any other colors other than white, but I'm pretty sure white is our only option here. The home button has been redesigned from the MX4's small round button to a bigger, more rectangular button. It can feel a little cheap sometimes, kind of like a toy, but it gets the job done. Even though the awesome notification light is no longer located here and is sad to see it go, it makes a lot of sense, because Meizu was able to add a fingerprint scanner that they call M-Touch, and it works really well. It's super fast, and I've never had any issues with it recognizing my fingerprint. It's much faster than Touch ID and maybe even faster than Samsung's S6. The MX5 has a 5.5-inch HD AMOLED screen made of Gorilla Glass 3. Meizu decided to ditch the strange 16:10 aspect ratio for the more conventional 16:9 ratio, which I happily welcome. Now, even though this is only a 1080 by 1920 resolution, the display is actually quite beautiful. Colors really pop and are nice and saturated. With this being an AMOLED screen, you can expect deep blacks, and I guess my only complaint would be the whites are a little warmer with a pinkish hue to them. And obviously, text is not going to be as sharp as other flagships with a Quad HD screen. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with the MX5's display. Now hold on to your hats, my friends. It's time to talk about the OS of the MX5. And it's a little different than what most of us are used to. Meizu put their own take of Android onto the MX5 called Flyme OS. And it's not bad, it's actually designed quite well, but it couldn't look farther from stock Android. The MX5 is running Android 5.0.1, but you can never tell by looking at it. The settings screen resembles something close to iOS, and like I said, it's not bad, just different and takes some time getting used to. One thing that can be annoying is that there is no app drawer, so you're going to be forced to put all your apps on your home screen and make folders to organize them. Also, trying to get to the settings menu can be a pain, because unlike most smartphones, the settings app cannot be found in the pull-down menu. So you'll have to put the settings app somewhere on your home screen. Flyme OS was designed to be very simple, and it certainly is, sometimes almost too much for an Android device, but it does come with some cool features, like the ability to lock apps so they require a passcode to get into. Also, you might have noticed that, yes, since the phone has a physical home button, well, where is the back button and the multitasking button? Well, the back button is the physical home button. Instead of pressing it, just tap it. You'll get the vibration feedback and the phone will take you back. It's different, but it's actually pretty cool and very easy to use. As for the multitasking button, well, it's a little bit harder. You have to slowly pull up from the bottom and you get something that looks like the iOS 6 used app dock. Remember, slowly. And you can't see previews of the apps, unfortunately, but you can close them by swiping up on them. The most important thing about Flyme OS is how it performs, and it performs great. It's super fast and responsive. I've never experienced any lag or stuttering from the phone so far. Apps load quickly, and overall, just navigating through the phone is just a very pleasant experience, and that is just using the phone's balance mode. You can choose different power modes for the phone to run in to save battery, including power saving mode, balance, and performance mode. I would recommend never changing from balance mode, however, just because I never really found a reason to change it. Everything runs smooth. Maybe for some high graphics gaming, performance mode would be ideal, but for most games, the MX5 in balance mode plays beautifully. Now let's move on to the 20.7 megapixel camera. The camera interface is very simple, clean, and easy to use. You have easy access to a bunch of different modes, including full manual mode, which I'll get to soon. So in auto mode, pictures on this phone are actually pretty good. I was surprised at how nice they look. Colors pop and are nice and saturated. Dynamic range is pretty good, but it's pretty much up to you to get it right. So even though auto mode should automatically adjust to take the best picture, it does need quite a bit of help sometimes. Tapping the preview obviously does the usual focus and adjustment of light. The problem I found is that it's very sensitive, so you have to make sure you click exactly where you want the camera to focus and adjust the light to that certain area. If you're off just a little bit, the picture could go totally dark or way too bright. It took some time getting used to. I don't think it should take this much trial and error to get a good photo in auto mode, but in the end, this camera can take some pretty nice pictures. HDR does a great job of bringing out the shadows, even though it takes a second or two to take the picture. And here's a pretty tough shot for any camera, with moving balloons and pointing into the sunset, but the MX5 handled it pretty well. Since HDR takes a little longer to take the picture, you will sometimes see ghosting even on slowly moving things like hot air balloons. Video is great on the MX5 too, recording at a max of 30 frames per second. 4K is also available. Low light shots are a little noisy and not the most clear, but definitely not bad. They are pretty dark still with the 2.2 aperture lens. It's what I would usually expect from a sub $400 phone. The front-facing 5 megapixel camera is pretty good, and pictures have a great amount of detail. It seems to really prioritize the main subject of the photo and make anything slightly in the background a little blurry than most selfie cameras, but overall, it takes pretty good pictures. Like I was saying before, there are a lot of different shooting modes. Some are silly and some are kind of cool, but you can have a lot of fun with this camera. There's manual mode with shutter speed, ISO, exposure, and focus. Panorama does a full 360 and stitches things together very well. Light field mode takes a bunch of photos very fast at different focus points, allowing you to adjust the focus after the shot was taken. The MX5 can record slow-mo at 100 frames per second, and even though that's not as slow as some flagships out there, the quality is definitely a lot better at 720p. Beauty mode is where it can get a little weird. You can choose to make your eyes as big as you would like, or even make your face a bit slimmer. Smoothness is there, and whitening, which I thought would just make your teeth whiter, but it makes your whole face whiter. It's silly, it's stupid, but it can be fun. So with its non-Quad HD AMOLED screen and decently sized 3150 mAh battery, you should be able to rely on this phone to get you through the day, right? Well, in my case, yes. I haven't been able to kill the battery in a day, no matter what I do. Whether I'm slightly browsing the internet, responding to texts, scrolling through Instagram, or taking photos all day and watching HD YouTube videos, battery life tends to be the same. I was able to get 4 hours to 4.5 hours of screen on time pretty much every day. There seems to be something weird going on with the phone idling, taking up a lot of the battery consumption. It's usually number one on the list. It's not much to moan and groan over since battery life is already pretty great, but I just can't help to imagine how amazing it would be without this bug. In the end, I was pleasantly surprised by the Meizu MX5. To keep this phone from emptying your wallets, there are some compromises. Sure, the display isn't the best, but it definitely looks nice and will help save some power. And yes, the home button is a bit cheap, but it's a home button, back button, fingerprint scanner, and power button all in one. In the end, the features that matter and that should work do work, and they work beautifully. Once you get past some of the cosmetic differences, the Meizu MX5 is a fantastic phone. It performs well, has a reliable battery, and a nice camera. Even though this area of phones is starting to become crowded with some other great options, for less than $400, I'd say the MX5 is a great buy. Thanks for watching, guys. Tell me in the comments below what you think about this phone. Do you like it or do you not? And make sure you subscribe to Android Authority for my About Me video coming out soon. Follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter if you like, and I'll see you later.